Hey, Becoming Me. I am so excited to introduce you to my warrior friend, Christy. Christy, welcome to Becoming Me.
Thank you so much, Emily. I'm honored to be here.
I'm honored to have you here. And just truly, it's been a joy to get to know you and call you a warrior friend this year. And just watching you on social media, I feel like almost every morning I open my Instagram app, you are one of the first posts I see with an encouraging post for the day. And so I love it. So thank you.
Thank you.
It's so encouraging. And, I would love, Christy, for you to just take a moment. And for those who might be new friends to you, just introduce who is Christy?
Okay, well, I'm a girl who loves Jesus and wants to be all who God created me to be. I'm a wife with my husband, Ty. We've been married for 34 years. And we have a son, Scott, who will be 30 in November, which I can't believe.
Wow.
And then I have a fitness studio where that I own that do personal training and life and Enneagram coaching and faith-based yoga.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. And I'm curious because I'm an Enneagram fan. So I'm an Enneagram 1. What's your Enneagram type?
I am an Enneagram 1 too.
Yes.
Yes.
Ah, here we go. This is so much fun. I love it. Do you know if you have more of a 2 wing or a 9 wing?
Yes, very much a two wing.
Me too.
Yeah.
So we are like cut from the same cloth. I love it. That's
Yes, that's
awesome.
right. Soul
Yes,
sisters.
exactly. So I would love, Christy, for you to just take some time and unpack your story. Like, what has made you who you are today?
Okay, well, it's definitely something that I'm still working on. I always say that I'm old, and I hope that girls could learn this a little bit younger in life. But it's okay because it's my journey, it's God's journey for me. Um, but I grew up. I didn't grow up in a Christian home. I grew up with two alcoholic parents, and they're pretty much there physically, but not emotionally, and which I just, I didn't really realize that until like later in life. You just kind of go through life and didn't really have anything to compare it to. I just thought that that's, the way life is.
Mhm.
Um, my biological dad gave me up um, when I was 3 so that my stepdad could adopt me, which was weird because my stepdad wasn't really thrilled that I was part of the package when he met my mom.
Mm.
Um, and all that to say that I grew up feeling alone, abandoned, not seen. Um, I know that my mom loved me, but I didn't really feel loved. Um, and again, that's just one of those things I didn't realize until later, when God started working on my story. And
Mm.
um, but to fill those voids, I turned to food when I was younger,
Mm.
and then when I was older, a younger teenager, turned to drugs, alcohol, um, and there's so many layers. I mean, it's such a redemption story, but there's so many layers there. But I got saved when I was 29, and I can see how God has molded me, shaped me, pruned me, cut off branches. I always say, as much pruning and cutting off as He had to do, I'm surprised that there's anything left. um, but He had done that over the years, and I can really see how He needs to do all that to bring us back
Mhm.
to our original design, the way that He intended for us before life happened. And I've seen so much pain and hurt from my own story and also with my client's story.
Mm.
And I got into fitness probably close to 40 years now. I've been in the fitness industry. And women normally reach out to me because they want to lose weight and um, and to get healthy. But normally they're not happy with their body. Um, But the world has programmed us to focus on outward appearances, and we really need to be looking on the inside. And that's been a journey for myself too. I'm right along, you know, on that train. But we need to understand, and again, this is what I have learned and why I'm passionate about what I do.
Mhm.
But we need to understand why we're overeating, or why we're over drinking,
Mhm.
or whatever it is that we need to numb out on. I mean, it can be scrolling on social media
Yeah.
or all the things.
Mhm.
Um, we go on diets, we work out because of something we ate or something that we know that we are going to eat, counting calories, all the things to lose weight or whatever it is, again, to numb out. And all of those things are just like putting a band-aid on something that needs stitches, or
Yeah.
a broken bone that needs a cast.
Mhm.
And it's just a temporary fix for a bigger problem. And I think a lot of times we don't want to take the time to just slow down and sit in our feelings. I mean, for real, who wants to be sad and think about all that? But that's the only way that we can heal.
Mhm. Yep.
Um, and we can't get back to God's original design, the way that He created us, until we get honest with ourselves,
Mhm.
and work through some of that pain. The reason why we're running to the things that we do, our hurts, our brokenness, our unforgiveness, all the things that we have stored in our own body. And I know that some people do have, some autoimmune diseases and that kind of stuff, but I have seen over the years working with clients how much healthier they get the more they just start um, finding their voice and speaking out loud some of the things that have happened to them, their hurts and all that. Because a lot of times, I mean, sometimes we don't know what we don't know, but as we get older
Mhm.
and find things that are triggering us, um, we realize how much we've stored in our bodies. And I feel like, autoimmune diseases, fibromyalgia, different forms of arthritis, a lot of that kind of thing, I feel like is just stuff that's stuck in our bodies. And anyway, all that to say, that's, through the years, I have seen too how God has used fitness for me to help
Mhm.
other women get to their original design. And, my pain is my passion. And my passion is to coach women for total transformation so they can live their best life and get back to God's original design. So, in a nutshell, that's a very brief, my story.
Mhm. I mean, it's so powerful. Thank you. I'm so honored that you took the time to share with us the gift of who you are and who you're becoming. And it's so true. If we don't take the time to pause and to be still with our pain and our hurt and really unpack the why or the root cause, we're
Yeah,
not going to grow and become who we were made to be. And so,
yeah,
really, that's so key and pivotal to our journey. So, I mean, thank you for sharing that with us
yeah,
today.
you're welcome.
I
Yeah,
appreciate that. I'm
yeah.
curious and I feel like I know the answer, but I gotta ask, are you a coffee drinker?
Emily, can we still be friends if I say
Yeah,
no?
yes, we can.
I
100%.
I used to be a coffee drinker. I mean, for
Okay.
years, until probably maybe the last 3 years, I would say.
Okay.
And that's just, like, one of those personal things that, I mean, I do drink tea now,
Oh,
normally, without caffeine.
yeah.
But I feel like, through my journey, I have addictive tendencies, and because of, the drugs and the alcohol, and some people
Yeah.
think, like with sugar or coffee or whatever, it's like, really, God told you that you shouldn't. And, for me, it was like, something that I just felt like, that God was saying, you need to lay that down,
Mhm.
because, and sometimes, and for me, when, drinking coffee, I just got into the habit of it.
Yep.
And then when I felt like God was like, let's just stop that for, 30 days and see what happens. And then I realized it was more, when I get up in the morning, I read my Bible, and just have, even in summer, having that
Mhm.
warm cup of coffee or whatever when I'm reading my Bible, it was just, kind of a habit.
Mhm.
And then I realized that it wasn't as good as I thought it was, and I definitely didn't need it.
I love that. like, honestly, I think it shows the intentionality of how you're really living your life and pursuing becoming who God made you to be. Because 'cause you're not just going along to get along or doing things just to do them, but you're
Yeah.
really focusing, so I love that. But, what kind of tea do you drink?
We have a store close by that's called Fresh Time. I don't know if you're
Okay.
in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if you have that, but it's like a Whole Foods. And
Oh,
they have some
nice.
loose leaf tea there. It's kind of like
Mm.
a Earl Grey tea.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
but different flavors. I like chai,
Uh-huh. I
usually
like
black
it.
tea, but green tea,
Mm.
chamomile.
That
Yeah,
all sounds delicious.
yeah,
So, I love
yeah,
it. So, if
yeah.
you were having a cup of tea with another friend and they're talking with you about their own becoming journey, what would you say to encourage them to become who God made them to be?
Oh, that's such a great question. First and foremost, I mean, some of these things, all these things are, part of my journey, how I got to where I am today. And, I mean, I don't feel like God is ever done with any of us until we
Oh,
meet him at the
yeah.
pearly gates. Um, and, in saying that, just because something works for one person doesn't mean that it works for another person. But for me, one of the first things that I had to do was get closer to God,
Mm,
to take time in His presence, to slow down and to be with Him, to
mm,
pray, to read His Word, to know His truth. For me, just taking that time to learn to sit down and be still,
yeah,
because we can't hear God and if we're always busy.
right.
And so I think that that's the most important thing to,
Mm,
and to ask God, who did you create me to be? What is your purpose for me? Because I feel like God, before He even created us, I feel like He had a purpose. And He's
yeah.
like, I'm going to create Emily for this
Mhm.
purpose.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is to get curious why certain
Mm,
things trigger you. And that was a big epiphany for me,
mm,
because again, you had kind of mentioned before that we kind of go through life. Sometimes we start being robotic and just doing the same things, get complacent in our life, do things without even
mhm.
knowing why we're doing them. That's what I love about the Enneagram. Um, but to get
Mm,
curious, if somebody says something to you and they honestly didn't mean anything
yeah,
by it, but it's something that triggers you and you get offended, it's
yeah,
normally because of something from your past. And
mm,
to just take time to, you know, ask God, why, bring that up for me. Why, or even just for yourself, getting curious, what about that makes me so upset,
mhm.
just different things like that to get curious. Um, and, same thing, just learning to be still. That's what I
Mm,
love about being a faith based yoga instructor. I usually have an intention for our class. I'll
mm,
say some specific scripture and just learning to slow down.
mm,
I always used to teach more boot camps and spinning classes and all that kind of stuff. And I just felt like, I don't know, it was probably 8 years ago, I just felt
mm.
like God was directing me to teach yoga, which I had never even been to yoga classes and stuff. And I was like,
Wow.
yoga? But it has been just such a great blessing
Mm,
and journey because even for myself, obviously stretching, I
mm,
just teach a gentle restorative yoga where we do some slow flows and that kind of
yeah,
stuff. But just learning to slow down like that and move your body and stretch your body has been so helpful. But
yeah,
those are
that's
the
powerful.
main things I think.
I love that. That is so powerful and helpful for all of our journeys. And, you shared a little bit that you are a coach. And so I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your coaching, where people can connect with you online. Like, tell us all the things.
Yeah, I just love to. Um, I just love coaching and hearing other people's story and where they're at. Um, and that's, part of the struggle, I think, for us women. We feel like we can do it all. I encourage people to go to counseling if they need it. There's nothing weak about doing that. I think it takes
Yeah.
a strong person to admit that they need that help, or just coaching. That's more
Yeah.
of somebody being able to come and just speak some things out loud, talk about things, like what's going on and that kind of stuff, and just kind of work through some stuff, finding out, who you really are and
Yeah.
how to get where you want to be. So people can find me on Instagram, Christy Mishler. I have a website, fitnesstrainingunlimited.com. And on my website, I have a free gift there. And I also have 30-minute free consultations if somebody
Wow.
wants to just get to know me and, just maybe there's one thing that somebody wants to kind of talk about
Mhm.
and see what I'm all about. And then on Facebook, Christy Mishler, or my business as well, Fitness Training Unlimited.
That's amazing. We'll have all the links, y'all, too, in the show notes. You can easily click the link and connect with Christy. But I couldn't agree more. Like, I have worked with an Enneagram coach since 2020,
Yeah,
and it has been so transformational. And
yeah,
so, like, I agree with what you're sharing. And for any of you who are listening or watching, if you haven't worked with a coach, I couldn't recommend more connecting with a coach. Like, connect with Christy, connect with another coach, and really get to discover who you are. Because I know for me, having that time to pause and someone else asking me questions and
yeah,
then talking it through out loud
yeah,
was transformational, to use your word. So,
right.
yeah, very
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, it's just so amazing to see the lights come on with
Yeah.
people. That's one thing that I love about coaching versus counseling, although again, counseling is, amazing. But coaching is more of, people are like, well, I don't know. I don't know. But people do know. People have answers inside of them. They just
Yes.
need to pause and take the time to answer their questions.
So true. And I mean,
Yeah,
thank you you've shared from your journey how you've done that process. You've paused, you've worked through the questions, and you're becoming the Christy that God designed you to be. And I love
yeah,
seeing how you're now investing your life to help other people do the same thing. Like,
right.
that's
Yeah,
beautiful. So,
yeah.
thank you. But
Yeah.
Christy, like, thanks for sharing your story today. Thank you for sharing the gift of who you are. Y'all go follow Christy, click the links in the show notes, and I'm just cheering you on. I'm so thankful to call you my warrior friend.
Thank you, same, and I love your encouragement too on Instagram and your words of wisdom too, Emily.
Well, thank you.